G'day there guys, Marky here, and welcome back to another episode of r/Am I the Asshole? Now if you guys love me carrying on like a pork chop, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn to the barbie, and let's get right into it. Am I the asshole for not donating my bone marrow to my birth father? So I, 17 male, am adopted. My birth parents weren't able to care for a newborn, and I ended up in foster care because of it. I was adopted by my family when I was 2. I have a very happy life. One that I likely wouldn't have with my birth parents. About a month ago, my birth parents got into contact with my family. Long story short, my birth father is sick and needs a bone marrow transplant. They are on a wait list, but haven't heard back just yet. I am the only child they ever had, and odds are I'm a match. Pretty much they wanted my parents to get me tested, and then donated my marrow to him. My parents told me that it's up to me, and after some thought, I said no. I don't know them, other than they gave birth to me. They have had no part in my life whatsoever, and now they suddenly need me? Well, they sent my parents a nasty message saying they can sue me to force me to donate my marrow. I do feel a little bad, but I feel like this isn't my problem. Am I the asshole? I personally don't think this 17-year-old is an asshole for denying a bone marrow transplant. Especially not after that nasty message that they were sent, suing them to force them to donate. Sorry, but any sympathy I did have before that has vanished now. You were adopted and they never tried to reach out or contact you in these last 17 years. Well, no. You don't really get the opportunity to ask your child for bone marrow and then demand it and threaten afterwards. Go find someone else to donate that. Not the asshole OP. I'm feeling asshole vibes from their end. And now in the comments, not the asshole. I'm no doctor, but I hear that donating bone marrow can be a very risky procedure. I almost burst out laughing in the frickin' office when I read they'd sue you to force you. They'll be laughed out of court, assuming they even get that far. Not really though, it's mainly the risks that come with any surgery. Yeah, I just looked it up. It seems to be more with receiving than donating. From what I understand, it's a painful procedure, and no, you cannot force someone to be a donor legally, especially if they aren't legally the parent, but even if they were, you can't be forced. It'd be hell on earth if basically strangers can sue somebody for bone marrow, or any other donation, blood, kidney, etc., and literally force the person to donate. I'd never want to live in a world like that. Well, don't move to Texas then. Not the asshole. I donated bone marrow to my sister 5 years ago. It was no small thing. I had complications with the surgery, couldn't walk for 2 weeks, etc. It was really, really painful. I was going to give you some sort of pep talk about doing it anyway, since you would be potentially saving a life, even if it's the life of a complete stranger. That was until I read the line about how they threatened to sue you to force you to donate. That's the most tragically hilarious thing that I've ever read. You cannot force a person to undergo a voluntary surgery. You should call their bluff. Indeed, not the asshole, especially after that suing part. Wish them good luck with that. They didn't want you then, they won't have you now. Also, went through the procedure as well. I raise your not walking for 2 weeks, with bordering needing a blood transplant, not being able to work for over a month, and having to take medication to get my hemoglobin levels back up again for months. I couldn't lift my own baby for weeks, aside from the not walking. The pain meds also barely worked, so the pain was horrible for well over a week before it got bearable with paracetamol. Took much heavier ones before that, as if they were candy. I now have 14 scars on my lower back that I still feel sometimes. It's been well over a year. The surgical donation is no joke, and the dialysis one is not exactly a ride in the park either, thanks to those meds you have to take beforehand. And now back up to the post. Hey Reddit. Sorry, but right after I posted, I went to the store with my mum. I just wanted to clear up some things that I read in the comments. I'm a boy, but I'm flattered some of you think I'm pretty enough to be a girl. I have no contact or anything with my birth parents. From what my parents told me, I was put into foster care when I was less than a month old. That is how they got me, and they decided to adopt me, which was finalized when I turned 2. I have 4 siblings, and I have a great life. They told me when I was old enough that I'm adopted, but outside of that, I had no idea who my birth parents were, or what they even looked like. Someone said I should just do it, cause what if I need medical information? What if I want to get to know them? Or something like that. Yeah, no. I have no desire to get to know these people. None. I have no desire to seek out grandparents, cousins, and uncles. I don't want to know if some form of rare cancer runs in the family, cause they are not my family. I haven't spent 17 years of my life with them. Why would I want to get to know them? And for those of you who kept saying you should reconsider it, how about you donate to him? My parents told me to think about it. I thought about it, and the answer is no. No, I'm not doing it. That's it. Morning, Reddit. It's early, I'm getting ready for school between typing this. I read more comments this morning, and again, let me clear something up for you all. My egg and sperm donors didn't lovingly give me up, I was taken. My parents don't know the exact reason, because that information was never released to them. They were told, and I quote, "It wasn't a good environment for a child. I was taken." Even if they had given me up, it doesn't mean I owe them anything. It's not like I asked to be born like every freaking child on this green earth. If being born means I'm suddenly in debt to them, I would have been the slowest sperm you'd ever seen. I would have happily raced into a sock. Y'all can be a bunch of hypocrites. In one breath, you say there are kids in foster care who need a home. Well, I was a foster kid who was given a home by 2 loving parents. And then in the next breath, you're saying, what about your family? I have a family. They have raised me for 17 years. Medical history? Some very helpful people have privately messaged me to let me know that in 2021, I get all of that crap without ever having to speak to these people again. Ever. Amazing how far science has come, right? I'm going to be showing this to some of my friends today because I have to admit, I'm over it. It's not my problem if this man dies. And again, some people have pointed out in the comments, odds are I wouldn't be a match anyway. And he has more luck getting a donor off the list, and it'll be faster than waiting on me to get tested, only to be told I'm not a match anyway. And again, with those on your hill screaming, well, wouldn't you donate to a stranger? I donate blood mostly because it gets me out of PE class. I like to donate blood. If someone receives that blood, then congratulations. I put no more thought into it besides that. Even if they had come to my parents and said, hey, you are our adopted son, and well, we need a favor. Sorry to ask, blah blah blah. My answer still would have been no. I did my own research and found plenty of stories of kids who were used like gold mines for their genetic materials by their parents to save their siblings or a family member, and that is all they were to their families. Someone who had the right match. I don't owe them anything. I don't care if she spent 8 hours in labor with me, they aren't my family. I have a wonderful family who are supporting me right now. And also, my parents are working on finding how the hell they even knew where I was, because my adoption was a closed one. They had their rights terminated when I was taken. They shouldn't know crap about me. I don't know if they're contacting a lawyer or anything. I know they're pretty upset about all of this. I have to get to school. Later. And now, on to the update. I know this is long overdue. I started college. Life and COVID put things on hold for a bit. Long story short, I didn't donate the bone marrow. My birth parents started harassing my family on the regular. Texts, phone calls, letters, showing up at places, which resulted in calls to the police. They were arrested. My adoption had been closed. They used some shady private investigator to find me, and basically just showed up on the doorstep demanding my bone marrow. My family did press charges. As of right now, as far as I'm aware, they're still sitting in a prison cell while they wait for their day in court, as things are still delayed due to COVID. I guess my sperm donor's illness wasn't that serious, or he got a donation. I don't know. Anyway, just thought that I would update this old post. I'll answer questions if you have them. That's it. Edit. Someone asked why I was taken. Honestly, I still don't know the full story, nor do my parents. They said they asked, but never got the full answer. The answer they told me was someone called the police and told them to do a welfare check on my sperm and egg donor, complaining they constantly heard a baby, aka me, crying. Drugs may have been involved, which my parents think so. I was placed in foster care, and from there, I was adopted. Why did they find me? My father feels they wanted money and the bone marrow story was a lie. We only based this off the fact my sperm donor seems fine. We don't know if he got the bone marrow from someone else or whatever, but we think the story was made up in order to harass us and get money from my parents. We aren't rich, just middle class. My mum has her business and is a stay-at-home mum, while my dad is an electrician. Did I ever sign up to donate bone marrow? No, I did not. I'm not comfortable with that, but I still donate blood. What about genetics? I haven't gotten tested for anything as of yet. Other family? I don't care. During that time, someone reached out to me on Facebook claiming to be an aunt. I didn't reply to the message. And now in the comments, the reality is the moment they started harassing or pressuring you, you didn't qualify as a donor, at least here. Donors must be 100% voluntary without any pressure. I'm glad your parents protected you. I went back and read the original post, where people were saying, what about your medical history? That is the weakest reason in the world for a donation. You can get a medical profile that covers most things these days through DNA testing if you wanted to know badly enough. Good on you for sticking to your guns, and good luck in college. My father had zero physical contact with me throughout my entire life. He gets cancer and is dying, so now he wants contact. I was 27 by that point. I didn't go to see him. All I kept thinking was, why didn't he come to see me when I was crying on the phone at 13 that I wanted to see him? OP should do what's best for him. Some people are not worth your time. My husband's mother walked out on him at 9 years of age. Her girlfriend that she left him, his brother, and father for is dying of cancer. She showed up at his work last year for the first time since she left. My husband was 31. It freaked him out. He called his dad and I talked to them. They wanted money, help with her medical bills, and a place to stay, plus they were on the run for avoiding taxes in Ohio. We called the police and told them to leave us alone. She wouldn't give answers for why she left, so my husband and his family didn't want anything to do with her. We were already struggling with my disabilities. Why should we support them after what they did to my husband and his family? His body, his choice. It is actually that simple. Seriously, this. What's with all the commenters he apparently got calling him an asshole for not wanting to donate? Probably from people who have zero experience with making difficult and complex decisions in life and prefer to pretend that all families are happy and loving. They have no basis for comparison or care to reflect on what they'd actually do or feel, but screeching nasty crap on the internet at a teenager is easy, so they do that instead. Our next post is titled, I saw my husband caught with a woman in a picture while scrolling a local influencer's IG. He was supposed to be out of town. I don't know what to do. We just had our baby 6 weeks ago, and when he told me about his business trip, I got a little upset because I'm all alone here, and this is our first child, so I don't know what the hell we're doing most of the time. I couldn't just refuse to let him go, however, because I know when I met him that traveling is part of his job, so he left. He's very supportive otherwise. Very happy about being a father, and he called us maybe 5 to 6 times a day to see if we're doing alright. Last night, I was scrolling down Instagram, and there he was in the background of a local celebrity that I followed, sitting in a restaurant with his friend from uni, the woman who always disliked me and who he told me not to worry about. He's been on this trip since Monday and is supposed to be coming back on Monday. I'm so heartbroken. I don't know what to do. I will obviously talk to him when he gets home, but what are my options afterwards? I'm a stay-at-home wife right now, and I haven't worked since I graduated 5 years ago. My husband makes a good living, and he didn't think me working was a necessity. I don't have a family except him. If I leave him, how am I going to fend for my son? Who is going to take care of him if I start working? I feel so trapped. And now in the comments, screenshot it in case she deletes it. I agree. Screenshot just in case husband denies it. I wish I had a nickel for every time a "we just had a baby and now my husband is cheating" story comes up on Reddit. I genuinely don't know how common of a situation this is. Pretty terrible if so. I'm beginning to think that there are men out there that plan for a baby so that their partner is distracted. Or trapped. The things OP is worried about are pretty common concerns. A woman may be more likely to look the other way on infidelity if she feels like she has no other financial or social support for her and a young child. It's something like 82% of cheater men start cheating after their first child with a partner. Who knows how reliable this statistic is, but terrible if true. This makes me feel sick. Y'all should also check the stats on how many men leave and cheat on their wives when their wives suddenly get super sick and end up in the hospital. It's messed up. This happened to my elementary school music teacher. She was married to the gym teacher at my school. She ended up getting diagnosed with cancer, and when she was going through chemo, he cheated on her with another teacher who worked at the same school. From what I know, they got a divorce and now he's married to the teacher that he had an affair with. I said this in another comment, but the picture might be a few days old. The influencer might not have uploaded it in the day that she took it. So maybe try to video call your husband, and maybe try to ask for the view of his hotel room. Try to ask him stuff that might force him to speak more about where he is, so you can know for sure that he lied about his business trip. Also, if he tells you the name of the hotel, you can try to call and see if a sympathetic employee can give you any info about him being or not being there. I thought so too, but she made Insta stories as well in the same restaurant. I like the idea of trying to video call him. I know Insta celebrities that also post days and weeks old stories. They line up all of their content in advance so they can take a break, but it looks like they're active. They also do it to try and prevent stalkers. Don't jump to conclusions unless you've ascertained where your husband actually is. However, this still doesn't explain why he was out to dinner with his friend in the first place. One that is disrespectful of OP, and didn't mention it at all to you. I think it would be helpful to mention this or ask your husband about this, especially since you just gave birth and have a brand new baby and are already feeling alone. If it's not something he's trying to hide, it should get sorted pretty easily. If not, then you'll have more questions. Good luck, OP. And now back up to the post, we have an edit. I am so overwhelmed with the amount of messages and support. I'm going to make it clear here that I'm not going to jump to any conclusions yet. I just had my suspicions about the friend, and I was always wary of her. I'm going to give my husband the benefit of the doubt, of course, but unfortunately, my gut feeling is telling me this is what I am dreading the most. Thank you. And now, onto the update. Hello again. I'm so happy I found you guys here. My husband is home now. It was what I feared. I don't know if I made a terrible job of explaining the situation in my last post, but the influencer lives in our city, and she was in a restaurant in our city. My husband was supposed to be out of town on business. I took the advice that you gave me about influencers not usually posting same-day pictures, but it still struck me as an oddity because he has never mentioned having dinner with his friend. I tried to contact the influencer, but she has over 1.5 million followers. As I said, my husband's work includes a lot of traveling, and he usually does a video tour in his hotel for me or sends me some pictures. This time he didn't, so yesterday when he called, I asked him to FaceTime me to see our son. He told me to wait because the room was messy, and he called after 5 minutes. We talked and he saw our son, and then I asked him for a mini tour. He showed me some parts and I took screenshots. My husband laughed about me taking screenshots and was a bit confused. It isn't that unusual for me to do anyways, so he didn't make a fuss. I went later to Hotels.com and started comparing pictures. I found a hotel within 15 minutes. It was less than 10 minutes from our place. It was a bit late, but I took my son and went anyway. The front desk didn't want to tell me what room he was in. I asked her to tell him to come down, but she refused to do that since it was midnight. I texted him to come down to the reception. When he came down, he was like he was seeing a ghost. I told him to take me to his hotel room now. He refused and asked me to go home and that he would explain everything later. I told him that if he didn't take me to his room now and without warning to see his friend, I will scream. I don't know why I wanted to see her. It's like even after finding out he's been in town all this time, and even after seeing the look on his face, I still wanted to catch them to drive the message home. So my heart doesn't cave to his excuses and explanations that he was already starting on. He refused, however, to take me up. So I just left with the baby. He came home maybe an hour after me, and he wanted to talk and explain when I'm ready. I'm not ready yet. I asked him to move out and leave me for the time being. He agreed. I don't know why he did this, why he married me. I'm 29 and he's 39. His mistress is 39. She's a single mom and they're more compatible and they get along very well. And they obviously love each other, so why didn't he just be with her instead and save us all the heartbreak? Honestly, what's wrong with people? More updates. I'm sorry, I don't want to make any more updates. My husband has agreed to moving out of our apartment. Since we have a prenup, I'm essentially not entitled to anything, but he's offered me the apartment since I have nowhere to go. I told him I needed more assurance that the apartment is for me and my son. He's going to transfer the deeds in my name, whatever that means. I'm also going to get alimony or allowance, whatever it's called, until my son is old enough to start looking for jobs. All of this conversation was recorded. On Monday, I'm going to talk to a lawyer to make sure what my husband promised me is going to happen. In return, he asked me for separation and not to divorce for 2 years. I agreed. About the other woman. I don't know if it's worth my energy to find out more. They've been friends with benefits when they're single, but never had a relationship. They've known each other for 20 years. I didn't want to hear anything about them. I always had my suspicions. He made the usual excuses about her meaning nothing. It was a mistake and this was their first time because he felt neglected because I wasn't as interested in him as before the baby. He swore he never slept with her during our marriage until this week. I don't believe him. If they end up together, I wouldn't be surprised, even though he assured me it will never happen because he doesn't love her. Now in the comments, the hotel was less than 10 minutes from your house, but he showed up like an hour late instead of running after you? Obviously, he had to go to her to talk the plan with her. Pfft, idiot. Exactly. There is nothing left to say to him. Don't listen to the crap. Get a lawyer and split. And start the divorce proceedings. Separation for 2 years instead of divorce could hurt you, depending on the prenup and your state laws. You may end up with nothing if you wait. Talk to a lawyer ASAP. He is so far below scum of the earth. Lol, to let him explain? There is nothing to explain. You're quite clear on what he was doing. And as for your questions, no answer he gives will be able to make you understand or take away the pain. The answers are that he is selfish. He doesn't value you or your little family that you made and thought that he would never get caught, and if he did, that you wouldn't leave because you wouldn't deprive your son of a family. Cheaters make it out like your choice to respect yourself and demonstrate self-respect to your children is what breaks up the family, and not their willing choice to put their selfish wants and their willingness to hurt and betray their partner above the family. Wow, he felt neglected in less than 6 weeks of OP giving birth to his child? That's less than the time a woman is even allowed to have sex after birth. It was probably the most convenient cliché that he could give that felt like it made sense to him. And now onto the final update. Hi again. I wasn't planning a new update. I am so appreciative of all the support I've got here, but also I have received a big amount of hate. It's a small number compared with the majority of people who showed me support, but I don't know why it got to me anyway. Maybe because I already feel vulnerable, or maybe because these things were always in the back of my head. I was attacked for being a stay-at-home wife, for being young, for being a gold digger, for having an older husband, for having a rich husband, for having a baby with my husband, for exposing my husband's infidelity, for not having a safety net, for trusting my husband, for not trusting my husband enough, for demanding that the man that I love leave our home after he cheated on me, and it goes on. I should have just ignored everything and concentrated on healing, and I'm going to do that. But I have a small final update to share with the thousands that cared and supported. I don't have a family because I'm an only child. My parents died when I was 5. My grandmother raised me, and she died when I was 20. Many have requested an update about his friend. I texted her that she is an ugly, pathetic, cheap HOE who always hated me and always has been jealous of me. That even if she ended my marriage and ruined my happiness and the chance for my baby to grow up with both his parents and the future siblings we've planned, she will never have my husband because she is an ugly, pathetic, cheap HOE. It has never happened and it will never happen, but if her goal in life was to sneak around in hotels with married men, then congratulations. I told her I wished what she got from him was worth ruining my life, but that I'm happy that I at least don't need to have her in my life again. I didn't feel any better, to be honest, and I regret stooping so low. She texted me back, a picture of her and my husband at the hotel with the winking emoji. I forwarded it to my husband. This was yesterday. He showed up around dinner and told me everything. He slept with her during our relationship. He told me he was sorry and that he was relieved now that I knew everything because she can't hold it against him anymore. I kicked him out. I regret knowing all this. We had our first meeting with the lawyers today. The prenup covers my husband's assets until we got married. He comes from a wealthy family. I'm not to touch any of that. My husband is self-made, however. I'm entitled to 50% of everything he made since we got married. My husband also offered our apartment as an apology, even if the apartment was from his family, and he's going to pay child support. It's really all I need right now, and much more than I expected. Divorce takes a couple of years, or even more sometimes, especially when children are involved. I think that my husband lives with the hope that I'll forgive him down the road. I know he's always been generous, but he must have some kind of hope to make me this offer because it can't be just remorse. He apologized for hurting me, and I can't even describe how lonely and devastated I am right now. He and my son are my only family, and I've lost him, and all for what? I can't believe I still love him so very much, and since he moved out, I haven't stopped crying. I miss him. How could he do this to us for an ugly, pathetic, cheap HOE? And now in the comments, get everything agreed upon and in writing quickly. He might be willing to give up stuff right now, but he might change his tune in the coming weeks and months. Do not trust him to keep his word on anything. And OP replies, that's what the lawyers are going to do. I'm unfortunately very ignorant in these things. I just want my home and my baby safe. Your husband is so weird because he was never going to tell about the fact that they slept together if it weren't for that picture. He has probably not told me everything either. They never tell you more than what you already know. And you shouldn't torture yourself with it. Take this time to heal and focus on your son. F him and his side piece. It's toxic energy that you don't need. So this week wasn't the only time then? He had slept with her before you caught them at the hotel? Yes, throughout our entire relationship. They have been sleeping together for almost 20 years. They slept together before our wedding and she filmed it. Therefore, she extorted money and sex out of him. That's the story that he's going by. She won't stop, lol. She will drain his bank accounts now, and when she is done with him, she will find another prey. Serves him right if you ask me. I was very shaken yesterday after the picture, but I think it will help in the long run not to make excuses for him. I want my home and my baby to be cared for. She can take the rest. So he puts himself as a victim because the mistress was always threatening to tell his wife of the affair? The balls of this guy. Well, it's working. She wrote an essay about how awful of a person the other woman is, while the husband is defined generous for letting her stay in the house with her child. The blame is placed on the single woman and not on the married man as usual. So sad to see. The way I look at a situation like this is, she had nothing to lose. Still not a good person, while he had everything to lose, knew the risks, and still went for it, so he is the one to blame here. It would have taken him so little effort to, not stay at a hotel plowing his mistress, literally blocks away from the home that he shares with his postpartum wife and weeks-old newborn child. Also, for bonus points, I like how she tells us that he comes from money, but he's a self-made man. No, honey. When someone is born on third base, they don't get credit for hitting a triple. His family and money gave him a head start. Your emotional support and home-based labor helped him do as well as he did, and him giving you a share of what he earned himself while you were married is not charity. It is years' worth of unpaid wages to you, with a broken trust and voided social contract fee thrown on top for your pain and suffering. Take everything you can get and do not go back to him. And take care of that baby. And that's where I'm going to end today's episode, guys. That's a bit of a grim one, but these stories happen. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, let me know what you thought about it down below, and I will see you on the next episode. Bye.